Okay, so thank you very much, guys. So I just want to give you a quick overview of who we are before we start, so that you know that you're in good hands. For those of you who haven't yet interacted with us, so today this is what we're going to be tackling. We're going to be looking at how decoding imposter syndrome. Today I'm joined by very fantastic ladies. You're going to hear about them shortly. Yeah, some great experts in this topic. Yeah, and I want us to just demystify what this really is. Yeah, because I think it's been overused. Yeah, so that we can start using it in the right places, in the right format. So who are we as talent gurus? I think many of you are my alumni who have done some of our programs. But for those of you who don't know who we are not only a career coaching practice, but we are global award-winning powerhouse that has transformed over 250,000 careers and counting. That we are a professional firm that is helping professionals unearth their true genius. I think if we were to gauge those animals with their capacity to climb that tree, you know which animal would get to the top the quickest. So we are here to help you unearth your genius, maximize your potential, navigate career transitions, and break through stagnation. So that's why we exist in the marketplace. And how are we doing this? We have a bespoke leadership academy where we do training, we do mentorship and coaching, and we help people become their best versions so that they can live intentional, purposeful, and productive lives. So we truly believe that if you're living an intentional and purposeful life, there has to be creativity, there has to be innovation, and there has to be productivity. And that's where we aim to get people to. And our vision is to actually help people, influence people to discover and harness their hidden and real talents so as to live purposeful and productive lives. Yeah, so for me, I'm the lead consultant and the founder and the CEO. And this is my 29th year in the people development space. I'm passionate about people and people development. I'm passionate. My background is HR. I was in HR mainstream for 21 years. This is my 9th year in consulting. I'm a certified executive leadership coach, recently an imposter syndrome coach, as well as emotional intelligence coach. The guru is seated here with us, so she'll talk about it as she speaks. And I'm also a master NLP practitioner. So I'm very curious about understanding what makes people tick and what brings out greatness in people. So I've been studying for a while, as you can gather, just to understand what are the right tools to be able to assist people become their best versions. I truly believe there's greatness in each one of us. Yeah, I'm also an author. I think some of you have already bought the book called Owning Your Career, and it's a playbook on how to manage your career. I also authored a journal called Living Intentionally, which is a book that also helps you live your life more intentionally and not just letting days pass by, but more intentionally with purpose. Yeah, I've also sat at the feet of many leadership gurus, and I'm a keen student of leadership because I truly believe everything starts from the top. If you have good leadership, you will be able to produce the best talent and you can be able to produce the best out of people. So in terms of my background, I have had a vast experience in various industries. And the reason is I originally knew that I would eventually get into consulting, so I was very intentional about my moves. And for me, that's the value that I bring out in the things that you see us doing in the market space. Yeah, as you see us training, mentoring, coaching, developing programs for organizations, yeah, and also for individuals. It's through these experiences. So other than just the technical knowledge, we also bring out our practical, lived out experiences that will also impact the kind of work that we are currently doing. And just to tell you that, yes, our work has also been recognized locally, globally, and also regionally. I think we got the 13th award actually yesterday, where we were voted one of the top 100 HR leaders. And we are grateful for all these recognitions because it just tells us we're on the right track. Yeah, we try to benchmark with the best across. So for me, I'm a true believer, whatever knowledge we will share here, it is actually globally competitive. Yeah, and so anytime you interact with us, just know that you're in good hands. And we've developed numerous programs in the market space for young people. We have programs for professionals, which some of you have already interacted with. Yeah. You also, yeah, so that's the journal that I was talking about. Yeah, the book is also, the journal and the book are all available online on Nuria. Yeah, so that you can also access. Yeah, and we also have customized programs in the market space. We do a lot of mentorship, a lot of talks. So anytime you see us in the market space, we're talking about careers. We're trying to influence how people looking at careers and how they're managing their careers. Yeah, so anytime you see us in the market space, all this is all around careers, because for me, when I was in the market space, managing people and their careers, there are two key problems I realized that are there that need to be solved. So the interesting thing is, when I was in corporate, I used to always say somebody just needs to come up with a program to solve this problem. But well, I didn't know that actually the person was me. So they say the problem that you complain about, and this is also for feedback for you to think about, the problem that you mostly complain about, most probably that's the problem you should be solving. And so I actually realized that actually I was the one to solve the problem. And so the two key problems were how we prepare young people for careers. And so that's why we have that youth program. And then there was also a survey that has been done severally, that has also realized that actually 87% of people who work globally don't enjoy what they do. So also there's a misplacement in terms of where people sit in terms of their careers. And so that's where you can see that big focus that we have around careers. And so actually our mission in this next 1 year, and I would ask you to just follow us and just keep consuming what we are sharing. It will be around careers, how to start enlightening you that they're actually tools. You don't need to feel stuck in a job that you're not enjoying. Yeah, because I truly believe for you to be in your right place, if you don't have these signs in your life right now, then maybe it's time for you to look for a coach. So there should be intentionality, there should be productivity, and there should be creativity and innovation. Yeah. So if you're not creating, if you're not passionate about the thing that you're currently doing, yeah, it means that there's some work maybe, or you need to align or get clarity around the thing that you are doing. And that's what we are going to be doing this 1 year with the various webinars and various experts we're going to be exposing you to. And so that's in a nutshell who we are. And so we're going to start in today's session. And this is just to warmly welcome you to today's session, which is Decoding Imposter Syndrome. And I think that is the introduction, and we will start. So thank you very much. So today I will be joined by Dr. Jaki Wasike-Sihanya. Yeah, so that is our first speaker. Yeah. Actually, let me just share. I can actually spotlight her here. Yeah, so that's Dr. Jaki Wasike-Sihanya. And for her, she feels right now, and she'll talk about it, she feels imposter feelings are an opportunity for us to learn about ourselves. Yeah. So we're going to talk about it. And then we also have Vicky. And Dr. Sihanya is the founder of Life Skills Coaching Consultants Life, a life leadership as well as legacy coach. And she has more than 25 years in leadership experience across Africa. So she also pivoted in terms of her career. So she'll talk about also how she pivoted. Yeah, she's pivoted across corporate as well as nonprofit and entrepreneurship space. Yeah. Then we also have Vicky Karuga, and she's the MD of Profiles International, a leading talent management solutions company, a total creative. You're going to learn more about her, dynamic executive leader, as well as an entrepreneur. And she feels, and her quote for today is, she has worked on building sites, training rooms, with professionals, and performed on stage, at times wondering if she belonged, until she realized that the blueprint is never one thing. She decided, I love them. I love all these things, I'm not lost, I'm layered. Emotional intelligence taught her that imposter syndrome is not just a voice, yeah, and she's choosing the one that empowers her most. Yeah, so you can be many things and also be great at many things. I think that's the conclusion that she came up with. So we'll stop there for now. Thank you. Thank you very much. So welcome. So thank you very much for joining us. How many do we have today? Yeah, Dorcas, how many are we at now?
We are a total of 50 participants,
Okay.
and I'd like to encourage people to share so that we can have more people join this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you very much. So you can spotlight Jaki, Dr. Jaki, as well as Vicky, so that people can now see them. Thank you. So karibu sana, Dr. Jaki, and karibu sana,
Thank
Vicky.
you.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. So I want to start off. Yes. So Dorcas, yes, thank you. You can also spotlight her. Thank you. Yeah. So I'd like us to start off with a very interesting question. So I want us to start. I want to ask you, what is the one common belief you grew up with that you now know caged your potential? A common belief, and this also goes to the audience. I want you to also work with us. I want you to think about one common belief that you grew up with that you now know that it caged your potential. So maybe I'll
Do you
start
want me to
you
go
off.
first, Pauline?
Okay. Yes, Daktari. Fantastic.
Okay. Thank you, Pauline. And I was thinking about this question when you asked me to prepare, and I realized that there's a common prefix to this belief, and that prefix is girls don't, or girls shouldn't, or a good girl doesn't. So getting messaging that being inquisitive, asking questions, it's not ladylike. A good girl doesn't point out when people tell lies, or a good girl doesn't speak her mind, or a good girl doesn't showcase her talent. So this is for me, this is one belief that I really had to work on when I eventually understood that it was holding me back.
Yeah, there are many shoulds, shouldn't, around girls. Fantastic, thank you. Vicky?
I think for me, I think it's safety. Safety was my mom was a civil servant, and so her whole life was around the structured life of civil service, and I think that's how she saw life. So you go to school, you finish. After you finish, you go to high school, you pass. You go to university, you pass. You get a job. So this entrepreneurial nonsense needs to stop. And then you work really hard, you buy a house, you get children. And then, so for her, it was more around, so even for me, the things that I was doing, she used to say were not clever. They're not smart. And she'd always remind me that as a woman, I need to be stable and ensure that if the man leaves, I think she was maybe saying when. Yeah. So it's that thing of self-sufficient, but for her, self-sufficient was more of safety. There's a structure. Don't get off the structure. Keep within the safety confines. Yeah.
Yeah. That there was a defined way that life needed to look like, isn't it? Yeah. And then there's a common pathway that each one of us needed to pass. Yeah, and now if you you remember those days, if you got to 30 years and you're not married, yeah, it would be a taboo. Yeah,
There'd be a problem. Complete problem.
So any from the audience, any comments on their beliefs, the common beliefs that they had that actually caged their potential? Any that are coming up?
I can just see Ivy saying there was a wrong belief that she has come up with, and that is that speaking up is a sign of impoliteness.
Of impoliteness, yes. So for me, I remember I was in a Catholic school, and I remember the headmistress would repeatedly, our headmistress was a nun, so she would repeatedly say, girls are to be seen and not to be heard. She was an Irish lady. So you can imagine, we used to be told girls are to be seen and not to be heard. So you can imagine how confusing it was for me to get to corporate, and now you have to speak up. Can you imagine? Yeah, that's what we call cognitive dissonance. Yeah, that you actually now, the way you have been trained, it's actually the contrary, opposite thing that you need to be doing. Yeah. So such beliefs sometimes can actually keep us in the background. Yeah. And actually many people actually struggle because of their cultural beliefs, their upbringing, even sometimes even religious beliefs, yeah, that will hold us back. And sometimes it actually will hold our potential. Yeah. So they say 82% of people experience imposter syndrome. Yeah, and this is according to a study by Baravata, one of the key thinkers around the imposter syndrome, or imposter. It's called the imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. Yeah. So I want to come to you, Dr. Jaki. Is this exaggerated? And what do you think about these statistics? And in your own words, how would you define imposter syndrome?
Okay. Actually, Pauline, this is not exaggerated at all. I think you know that I have also recently conducted research, and my own research indicated that nearly 75% of people have experienced symptoms of imposter syndrome at one time or another. As to what imposter syndrome is, I mean, there are very many different definitions, but for me, it's really that self-doubt despite evidence. Yeah, you have doubts about your competence, about your capacity, your capabilities, even when there is evidence that you're capable. So you're always questioning yourself. You're wondering, did I get here? I mean, how did I get here? And therefore, every time you're faced with a challenge at work or in your business, you experience certain symptoms that can actually paralyze you. You might even feel sick. So it's just self-doubt, despite the fact that there is evidence that you have the competency and you have the capacity to achieve or to manage the challenge that you're facing.
Yeah. Vicky, in your view, do you feel these statistics are exaggerated? And what is your view of what imposter syndrome is?
No, I don't think they are. I think I meet very many women. I think even mostly when we are talking with some of my friends, and by the way, spanning across from young friends all the way to my own mentors who are maybe 10, 20 years older than me, they still experience the imposter syndrome in different ways. So I think it's more common than we think it is. In short, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yes, I truly believe that we have all experienced it at one point of our life. Yeah, we might not have maybe called it imposter syndrome, but I'm sure there's a point where you are told, okay, you need to do a presentation, and you feel, oh gosh, why did they pick me? Oh my, how will I be able to do it? You're second guessing yourself, yet you're an expert in it. Understand? You're actually an expert in the area that they're already asking you. So the truth is, 82% of the world's population actually experience imposter syndrome. And for me, the reason why I felt this is an important topic for us to discuss today is I remember from 2005. I did my master's in 2005. That's 20 years ago. I realized the other day, oops. Yeah. So I did my master's 20 years ago. And I remember in my class, maybe 85% of the students were actually women. Can you imagine? 85% of women in my master's class were women. But now, to date, when I look at women in leadership or women who are who have actually stepped out, they seem to be fewer than men, isn't it? And that's why they've even tried to put the 30% women equity numbers to try and bring women. So and by the way, the other thing is, even from that 2005, every year, because that's one thing I do, every year I develop myself. So I've done many programs. Every year that I go for a program, 80% of the class is always women. So I keep asking, where are these women who have been developing themselves? Where are they? Where do they go? Do you understand? Yet every time I have a conversation with women, they're scared. They say they are scared. And I keep asking, what is this thing that you're scared about? But I know that I was scared. So I'm not belittling the experience. I know I also was scared. Yeah, scared of change, scared of starting out something different. And so that's why we're having this conversation, because I know it is rampant. I know it's a rampant challenge. I know there are very many qualified women who want to, who have great dreams and they want to do great stuff, but they are unable to move forward. Yeah. And they say there are certain key hallmarks of imposter syndrome. So sometimes you might think that you don't have actually imposter syndrome. That's a problem of many other people. But guess what? Yeah, many women, and I'll just describe for you the key hallmarks of what of imposter syndrome. So imagine the first one is diligence and hard work. See, many women are very hardworking. Aren't we very hardworking? Yeah, diligence and hard work. And the reason is we constantly feel the need to keep proving ourselves. Even if you're already the expert, but you're constantly proving yourself. I remember there's a role that I did not apply for 3 years. Yeah, because I did not feel qualified enough. Can you imagine? But guess what? When I got the job, I was so disappointed with myself because I was already doing the job. Can you imagine? Delayed 3 years, did not earn that money, but I was already doing that job. So diligence and hard work, trying to prove yourself. Intellectual inauthenticity. Yeah, so sometimes you're constantly trying to prove that you're qualified for the thing that you're doing. Yeah, you're constantly trying to prove that you're qualified. Yeah, and sometimes actually no one is asking, but then no one is even. But then that's the other thing. Many people even don't check. Yeah, and me having been in HR, I can tell you, our counterparts actually get away with less. We have taken a lot of time to go back to school, but you will find, we as women, majority of the women, and even for some men, you're constantly trying to prove that you're okay intellectually. So you're constantly doing one course after the other. Yeah, and then the other thing is another key hallmark of of imposter syndrome is where you're constantly seeking for mentorship. Yeah, constantly seeking for mentorship for external validation. So you're not seeking for mentorship because you already know. You just want to be mentored so that you can be told you are good. Yeah, so you're seeking validation. So they say the two key things that overall can tell you if you have imposter syndrome in one way or the other is the need for validation and the need, and there's always constant shame. There's always constant shame. You're constantly feeling like, I don't qualify. Yeah, so you're always carrying that at the background. Yeah, so maybe Doctor, you can tell us what are the key characteristics you have seen of imposter syndrome? Doctor, have you frozen? Are you frozen?
Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay, so maybe now we can just okay, since she's frozen, so maybe we'll take yours, Vicky. You can share with us your journey, and tell us a bit about how you have been overcoming your imposter syndrome along your journey. And guys, I would want you to just listen out to her journey. She has been courageous. She has been doing it afraid, but she's been overcoming her imposter syndrome. So karibu sana.
Thank you. So I told Pauline that I really wanted to do this with pictures. So this is not put in any stylized way. I just took a few pictures that I thought represented my life so far. And through that, I can speak through my journey up to this far. So I'll share a very simple deck, and then let me know when you see it. You can see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this is me, a young girl, very young. The small pictures are me in high school. Of course, I loved drama and I loved science. So that's a physics book, and that's one of my best friends. And high school was great because then all I had to do, I was away from my mother, and her constant messaging, so I could live my life. And architectural school was actually also really good. I was being creative. But architectural school is also where I met a guy who cheated me. And very soon I was very pregnant with a little boy. And I don't know if you can see him over here with balloons. This is actually my class. So two things happened. One, because of course, being pregnant and all that, I was failed, and so I had to rewind a class. So that's the first space that I encountered real imposter syndrome. So remember in my class of architecture, we were like 2 girls in a set of like 14 students. Our class had 14 and the other one had 14. So, but they welcomed me and I was able to feel at home even with the little boy. But going through those 3 years, I used to feel like, why am I here? I have this kid I'm dragging around. And I learned to look for spaces with other like-minded women who had babies, yeah? And then fast forward, I came to the world of architecture, did some really amazing work. KFC was one of my biggest clients. This building in Uganda was the headquarters for UNICEF. As in, I really had it was a great career. Again, surrounded by men. So going to site, you had to prove yourself to a man. After a while, I realized I didn't have to prove myself. All I had to do was really be curious about learning. But during this thing, one thing that has always been part of me is my music. So one day, a friend of mine dragged me down to River Road and told me, Vicky, why don't you just come and play with us drums? Every time I tell people I'm a musician, they think I'm talking about singing in the shower, and possibly playing in church and choir. But we really performed in big stages for a lot of people. And this is just me in my happy place. Behind the drums. So I love drumming. Here I was drumming. We did a school tour where we played music for kids. Here it's me performing at an October music festivals, both drumming and singing. And so music was a true passion of mine. And so before I got into music, I had never played a single drum. I did not even know where to start. And I was given a drum and told, just drum kidogo on the background. And after 3 years of constant drumming, because I had no choice, the band said, sorry, you're the drummer, you have no choice. So I found myself flourishing, and everyone there didn't have an instrument. So much so that we inspired a lot of schools to take up music, because we told them music is actually a profession that you can take up. Don't be told, like I remember when I was growing up, that you can't be a musician. And that was the mission when we performed in all the schools. And to date, we have 3 albums. You can find us on Spotify. That's how serious it was. It was actually a career. It was not just a singing in the shower thing. We have 3 albums out. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. This was the band back then. You can see how we have mellowed now. We are old mamas. We are seated just chilling and taking life a bit slower. But at that time, we'd perform every week. And at some point, it became second. It just became kawa. But in the beginning, I would hate going for shows because I'd be like, all these people are expecting me to perform my best. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm not even a drummer. There are so many other better drummers than me out there. And that's, I guess, imposter syndrome. Then come to the biggest place I experienced imposter syndrome, leaving my architectural background and joining the space of human resource. And this is me at the beginning of Profiles 10 years ago. And this is the first ever cohort of the Genos practitioners who are now over 120. This was the first group of 18. And of course, talking about it in various newspaper articles. I was scared, but let me tell you about being scared. the thing that if you have a passion for something, because I experienced firsthand the transformation I went through after doing psychometric assessments and getting coached and taking this little company to where it is now. We are now in Tanzania. We are trying to get to Nigeria. I have been, what I say, blessed to have very many people who have supported me in this journey. And every day I wake up with a lot of courage now, but starting the journey of profiles in an area I did not know, you can imagine, I would walk into rooms, the only thing I would want to do is to sit, but it also helped me because I learned a lot. Now I speak on very many topics, but it didn't come easy. As I always say, give time. Now, when I was in this HR space, and this is the last thing I'll share, the one thing I did not want was any of these different careers to be known by the same person. So when I was in human resource, I wanted to be known as the human resource person. I didn't want anyone to know that I had a background in music. You know, everyone would look at, I imagined that everyone would look at me like, who the hell plays drums in a rock band? And for me, it was very shameful. I admit that now, but that's what I thought. And one day, I think Mary Mokindia found out by accident that I played in a rock band. And I think she's the first person who used to talk about it so much, I'd want to leave the room when she was speaking. This article that was published by Biko about 2 years ago is actually what really freed me to really understand. I wrote in my poster that I'm not lost. I thought I was a bit lost, that I'm just, all these things are things that I do and I've done well. In music, I have not only performed, but I am also certified up to the last grade in vocals, in piano, in flute. I enjoy all these things. In the area that I am now, I have the depth of knowledge required for any expert or professional. And as an architect, I practiced for about 15 years before I moved into this human resource space. So every time I look back, I think about how it was to do it afraid and have very many sleepless nights at night when I would ask myself, what the hell am I doing here? I don't want to share the rest of the slides because I think that those will be what I'll share when I'm talking about my parting shots. But in a very summarized thing, that has been my life so far, as I can put it.
Wow, thank you, Vicky. Yeah. So, guys, you can see, you can pivot many times. Yeah, but you do it afraid. You keep doing it afraid. I think I have met many people who keep on wondering, can I succeed? Can I start all over again? I truly believe you can start all over again. Look at Vicky. Vicky has done it not once, twice. Yeah. So the key thing is you take the challenge, you learn it, you do it afraid. I remember for me, I met her when she was she had pivoted into HR, and I decided, you know what, this one, let me help her. Come nearer. Something just told me, let me just help her along the way. And yeah, we've become friends from that. So the thing is, there are people, God will send destiny helpers along the way to help you in your new journey. So is Jaki back? Dr. Jaki, are you back?
I'm back, but power has gone, so I'm sort of in the darkness.
It's okay,
can
but
see
you can be able to speak. So I'm sure
Yes.
you got to see Vicky's story. And I think for me, it was
Yes.
just to show people that lived out experience, that you can be able to have that capacity to be able to pivot and still start again. Yeah, God
Yes.
actually made each one of us multi-talented. We're not just talented in one thing. Yeah, so you can use your various talents, yeah, and repivot, yeah, and keep repivoting your career. So, Dr. Jaki, before you fell off and actually asked a question, I'd actually asked you a question, and I wanted you
Yes.
to just elaborate a bit about what are the key characteristics of imposter syndrome. How does it come out? How does it play out in the workspace or even in life
Yes.
generally?
Yes. And before that, I just want to say that, I also knew Vicky in one of her many lives. I knew her when she was an architect and I was in the corporate sector, and we were redecorating a new building that the company that I was working for was moving into. And then one day there she was training people in emotional intelligence. And I have to say that this is actually one of the stories that inspired me when I left corporate and started working on my own company, Vicky. So well done to you. Yeah,
Fantastic.
so Pauline, as we said before, there's the aspect of self-doubt, but then there's also this aspect of attributing success to external factors. Ah, no, I was just lucky. I think it was just by chance. And the thing is, when you attribute your success to external factors, what you're saying is, I have no control. So I cannot replicate this. I'm relying on chance in order to succeed. And of course, you cannot control chance. And then there is this fear of exposure. So you're always on high alert. I mean, it's like being on, I don't know, what do people take on Red Bull? It's like being on Red Bull 24/7, because you have to be very watchful in case you get caught out. And this, of course, causes stress. It gives you high blood pressure. It can actually manifest as physiological experiences, headaches, stomach aches, and things like that. You become somebody who's always over-preparing, overworking, and that can lead to burnout. And you may not realize that it is as a result of your imposter syndrome. And I think one of the things that I noticed, and especially in myself during my corporate career, is you become a soloist. So you are so obsessed with doing everything right. You think that if anybody else is involved, the standards are going to go down, and you think it's only good enough if you are the one who has done it. And this affects your interpersonal relationships. And of course, it can also lead to burnout, because you're overloading yourself. And I think one common one that I see, especially in coaching, is just discounting positive feedback. You don't trust. When somebody tells you you've done a good job, you're wondering, what is it that they're hiding? What is their agenda? So even when you receive positive feedback, you discount it, you don't believe it, and therefore you cannot lean on it to motivate you when you need some extra motivation. Pauline, I think those are just a few of the ways in which imposter syndrome manifests.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jaki. Yeah, I think another one, maybe just to add on to your list, is guilt about success. Yeah, there are people, and I'm sure you've come across them. You actually, you are working towards something, and maybe you've gotten the accolades and everything, but now you start feeling guilty about your success. Yeah, because either you don't want to accept the awards that you've been given and the attention that you're getting, yeah, or you want to take yourself down to a level of the people around you. Yeah, so feeling guilty about your success is also imposter syndrome. Not just acknowledging, yes, I did a good job. I actually worked hard. Yeah, I deserve it. Yeah, that aspect of just accepting. Yeah, and then the thing of overestimating other people and underestimating yourself.
Yes, true.
Overestimating others and underestimating yourself. Yeah, and I know this can be also linked up to our upbringing, cultural influences, but can also be linked up to religion, where we are told to be humble, isn't it? We're told to be humble, but there's also something called fake humility. Yeah, so we need to know what real humility is and also fake humility, because the thing is, you need to be able to accept your wins when they happen. Yeah, so there's no need for you to belittle yourself, yeah, when you're doing a good job. So you need to be able to actually sit in your success and accept it when it happens. Yeah, because I think we were taught, you never ever just over focus on your wins. So I find for very many people, they're unable to sit in it. For me, I can tell you, I thought I'd never had it. Do you know when I realized I had it? It's the first time I actually got a global award. That is when now I knew, gosh, you should see the hustle I took the organizers through. I even asked them for the criteria. I wanted to know what is the criteria. And they chose me. And actually, when I look at the criteria, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see. But just imagine that inability to accept your wins. Yeah, but now I know better. I'm now able to accept it and now realize, yes, look backwards and look at the work that I've put in, yeah, to be able to qualify for such things. Yeah. So, Vicky, is there any other factor you'd like to add?
So a long time ago, just before I started my journey of entrepreneurship, I used to work with, a really great company. And I remember for me to move, one of the pivotal points of my life was reading the book The Alchemist. I don't know how many of you have read The Alchemist, but it's a really great book about someone really determining, or rather getting his dreams, about a boy he's searching or something or the other. And that book had a preface which I just want to share with you. And this has really shaped the way that I feel about imposter syndrome, or that I feel that sometimes when we chase our dreams. And he shared just 4 things, which I found to be quite true. The first is, your first obstacle is that you think it is impossible. And you think it is impossible because it is what you've been told. This goal has too many things, and it's not, I mean, who are you to really achieve it? And then the second thing he says, the second obstacle, once we have decided it is possible, is love. Because we look at those around us, sometimes our family, sometimes our friend, and we're like, why are we leaving them? Because also chasing something means you have to seclude yourself in some way. You have to kind of put in some other hours. The third thing he says is, once we are on our way, then we start meeting obstacles, and we start fearing them, because overcoming them means, I mean, if we don't overcome them, then we have to say we tried to pursue something, but we failed. So we might as well stop and say, it wasn't really worth it, because I was starting to see that, I couldn't make enough money here or the other. There's always a reason why. But the last one is the one that really stood out for me. And he actually mentions what you mentioned about guilt, Pauline. And he says, Oscar Wilde said, each man kills the thing that he loves. And that is the guilt we are filled with, the ordinary person, when we can see what we want coming to fruition. And that's the most dangerous part of imposter syndrome. And I think for me, those words at that particular time, and I've always carried them. I carry that extract of The Alchemist with me everywhere, just to remind me sometimes where I am. And am I killing this thing because now I'm at that point where it's almost coming to fruition? Or am I killing this thing because of the people around me? Like, I remember when I was moving from architecture into human resource, everyone knew me as an architect. They even survived around because, hey, come I introduce you, it's like a whole thing. And now my family is like, how are you, I mean, you're also hurting us, because the journey of entrepreneurship means that some things and liberties and perks have to be withdrawn from the house. You can no longer do certain things. It's a beginning. And so I have always found those words to be very useful for me.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, and so with that, just to understand that, yes, those are the common characteristics for imposter syndrome. I think the other thing we need to also consider is, where does it start? Where did we get this thing? Where did imposter syndrome start? Yeah? Doctor, you want to take us through that? Start us off.
Yes. And if you're a parent in this room, please listen. A lot of this imposter syndrome begins in family dynamics. Some of you might have experienced what we call childhood labeling. Parents who talk about, this is the smart one, this is the extroverted one, this is the introvert, this is the naughty one, this is the brave one. All those labels stick with you, and some of those labels lead you to having imposter syndrome, either because you feel that you cannot live up to that label, the courageous one, or you feel, or you live that label, the introverted one. So if I'm introverted, if my parents knew that I'm introverted, I must be introverted, so I cannot stand up and speak in front of a crowd or whatever it is. Parents giving conditional praise, focusing on academics, for example. So you're only valued, or you're only seen when you bring that A home. So of course it manifests at work. You want to be the best, but then guess what? Everybody else who has been employed in that company has got their degree or whatever it is that they needed to have. So everybody is good, and you will not always be the best, but then you believe that if you're not the best, then you're not good enough. Sibling comparison, why can't you be like so-and-so? So you establish habits where, you're always competing, and it's unhealthy competition with people at work, with people your age. You're sticking to being an architect simply because it sounds nice, and everybody in your class who got an A became an architect instead of chasing whatever it is that you want. So family dynamics plays a big, big role. But then for some people, it's just personality traits. There are some people who've got this Anxious temperament, for example. So they're always anxious about everything. They're fearful of everything. So for them, it is easier for them to have that habit of doubting themselves and imagining that they're not going to succeed, and even having a tendency towards perfectionism, where 100% is not good enough for you. It has to be 120%. It has to be 150%. Sometimes it's just social expectations and social pressure. By this age, I think Pauline mentioned, by this age, you should be married, you should have 2 kids. If you are in this kind of career, how can your kids be in 844 system? You're sitting around and everybody is talking about the school their kids are going to, group of schools, and yours is going to a school and that kind of thing. But imposter syndrome also can come if you're a group, if you're what we call part of a marginalized group. Yeah. If you're like, I think Vicky mentioned this, like few girls in the architecture class, or in my own experience working for multinational organizations, I was often at conferences and I was the only Black person, and carrying the weight of the African continent on my shoulders because I'm feeling, hey, I have to represent the continent. I mean, the continent never asked me to represent them, but then it can actually cause you to feel imposter syndrome when you feel that there's extra scrutiny on you. Workplace organizational culture can create imposter syndrome, especially when there is no psychological safety, or when you receive an ambiguous feedback. And please, HR people, I'm calling you out. Giving feedback that somebody cannot work on, so they can never really improve, or supporting or enabling toxic competition, that can lead to imposter syndrome. But the last one that I want to mention about is just, transition. When you transition, changing from one job to another, being promoted, becoming a mother, or getting married. Those transition points are actually times or touch points for imposter syndrome to manifest.
Yeah. So I'd want to ask the people who have joined us to ask any questions. You can put any questions that you have in the chat group, so that we can pick them up and we will start answering your questions, at some point. Vicky, do you have any contribution? Where do you think imposter syndrome starts? You're muted.
I think it starts in our childhood largely. It starts with the people around us. I know for me, a big voice that I would learn to shut down is, with all love in the world, is my mother. I know she comes from a great place, but she judges me through the lens of her own experience and her own wisdom. Over time now, she's learned to let me be, and what she has learned is to stay on her knees and pray throughout and accept that I'm still going to do what I'm going to do regardless. And now she says, you're still doing it. I'm like, yes, okay, let me go back and pray. So that's the relationship that I think we have. My father was different though. My father, I think that's where I drew both the restlessness and also the boldness, or the ability to want to dare. So I remember how he taught us swimming. He threw us into the pool. So he was that kind of person. So I guess it was a kind of a bit of a balance. But of course, with your mother being, and I tell her now, she said, I never said those things. I'm like, those days we didn't have a tape recorder, but yeah.
Yeah. And they say, those criticisms when you're growing up becomes that inner critic.
I'll give you a very simple example. When I was in architecture, it didn't matter how we dressed. We loved jeans, we loved t-shirts, but my t-shirts would always be untucked because my mom taught us that our bum should never be seen. It took me like 3 years to wear a belt with my shirts when I moved to the HR space. That's how much that voice still stays in your head.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That inner critic. So it's like a tape recorder.
Yes.
It's like a tape recorder that keeps repeating. So anytime you come across a similar situation or a place, that voice comes back and it keeps telling you, by the way, you're not the smart one, unfortunately. If you are not the smart one, remember there's that smarter sibling of yours. So you're just about to start a presentation and that inner critic tape recorder goes off. You're in trouble, isn't it? Trouble. That presentation is just going to collapse. Yeah. So the thing is, guys, and the reason why we're talking about this is you need to be able to identify yours. You need to identify your inner critic, that thing, that voice. What is that thing that plays, that holds you back? Yeah, because the thing is, when you identify it, you can tame it. Yeah, you see the way Vicky now, she has identified it. Yeah, and she now knows, yeah, that was my mother trying to show me love in her different way. Yeah, it was packaged differently. Yeah, that was a form of love. But now I need to overcome it because I'm a grown up. You understand? But the key lesson is you now need to be able to identify it. And then now through tools that you can get through coaching, you can be able to overcome it. Yeah. Dorcas, I can see there's some comments there. I think there's some questions that have come up there about a toxic work environment.
Yes. So we have a question from Judy, and she's asking, can a toxic work environment contribute to imposter syndrome? A workplace where your work is undervalued, and despite going over and above, a colleague that does way less is praised and put up as an example to follow. That's from Judy.
Yeah. Yes. So even the workspace and even a boss, a bad boss, can be a trigger. Yeah, because the thing is, they are constantly putting you down. Yeah. So this, and that's what Dr. Jaki said about giving right feedback in the workspace. If you're not being given the right feedback about your work, so you don't know what you're not doing right. Yeah. But the only thing you're being told is you're not performing. Yeah. So what happens is that with time you start doubting yourself. You start doubting your performance, yet you don't know the reason. Yeah. And so what happens at the back of your mind, that tape recorder that keeps that inner critic that keeps reminding you, by the way, you're not good enough. Your work is not good enough, irrespective of how much effort you put in. So that's the thing that now you have to overcome. Yeah. Yeah. Because unfortunately, we've gone through good bosses, bad bosses. Yeah. But the thing is, we have to go back to who we truly are. Yeah. And that's where actually with the imposter syndrome coaching, the first thing we take you through is you have to understand who you are, so that nobody can ever define for you who you are. Yeah, because the thing is, the reason why we've all struggled with this is because the concept of self was not clear. So anything people told us, we took on. And that's how self-doubt starts. Yeah. So the thing is, we take you back to ground zero. You start seeing yourself as you are. So that now you rebuild your whole self-concept. So that going forward, irrespective of what people will tell you, it will be just like water on a duck's back, and you're able to withstand no matter what criticisms that you will get along the way. Because the truth is, criticisms will be there, but the key thing is how do you internalize them? Yeah, and so those are tools that you will have to eventually have to equip yourself with going forward. Yeah, Dr. Jaki, you want to add something?
Yeah, just to say that one of the things that you can also do, which is very practical, is also just to keep a log of your achievements. Because remember, we said that one of the manifestations of imposter syndrome is not believing that you can, even when there is evidence. So you can keep a log of your own achievements. And when you're sort of doubting yourself, you can look at look at them just to remind yourself of what you are capable of. But I think, as Pauline has said, the most important thing is to have that awareness and to recognize which aspects of imposter syndrome manifest in you, and then to work on them. And I think in my closing, my parting shot, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why I said imposter syndrome is an opportunity to learn. Yeah.
So with all this discussion we've had on imposter syndrome, and the reason why it is a topic that we needed to have this discussion on is these are costs. There's a real cost of imposter syndrome in each and every of our lives, guys. So you need to understand what is the opportunity cost behind imposter syndrome. Yeah, and I'll start off with Vicky this time. What has been the real cost of imposter syndrome in your life?
One is believing the path created by others for myself, and continuing and journeying on with that path and not getting really the fulfillment that I want or that I need. And that has been a big one. I can give a certain example here. One of the things that when I started playing music, my husband didn't really like it. He was like, how can you be in a bar playing with all these guys? What are you doing there? And I would try to stop, but I really, 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 I mean, I was a drummer of the band. Where were they going to get another drummer? I'd already committed. When I commit to something, I follow through. So he would tell me things like, your children are going to do it for you. So don't leave the music. Your kids are the ones who really do the music. Until the first child told me that he doesn't want to be a musician, he wants to be an architect. Then the second child told me he wants to be an engineer. The girl who's so talented in music wants to be a pilot. I have no musician in my house. So sometimes we give up. Let me tell you something also. I read a quote on Facebook and I even saved it. There was a woman who used to work, and I think I shared this story with very many women. There was a woman who used to work at an aviation school. And she wrote on her Facebook and she said, I've worked in this school for many years. I see many men, 40 plus, who just retired, coming in to learn how to be a pilot. It used to be an age-old dream. And so now they have the time and the money, they're learning. But I've never seen a woman. So she was asking in her post, does this mean that there were no young girls who didn't get it to be a pilot, and now they have finally reached a space where they want to be a pilot? And she said, but not only that, I'm seeing men DJ, seeing women in that space. I'm seeing men going out and climbing Mount Everest. Okay, maybe that we are seeing women, but there are so many things. And it got me thinking, why are we as women not thinking back to our childhood dreams now that maybe a little bit of the stuff is out of the way, and fulfilling those dreams? So imposter syndrome sometimes doesn't allow you. And what do you know what you also end up doing? You also end up judging others. Case in point, for example, like my family, I'd be like, no, don't do those things. They'll never amount to anything. Just come and stay on the straight and narrow, because I never also experienced what it was to have that freedom to explore what it is that I could be. And I'm not saying that I have been everything I could be, but at least I am more open-minded. And if I can just allow me to answer to Phyllis, who says, how are you doing it differently with your family? I think it's more about telling them. I keep reminding them that the journey you start is just a journey like any other. You will go, you will find, you will like something else, you will move on to something else. The thing is, the things you need to equip yourself, I feel, in life are the unchangeables. You have to be resilient. You have to be spiritual. You have to have good manners about yourself as a person. So like Steve Covey says, you have to have a changeless core in order to experience agility. So that's what I try and do different. Instill in my children that the soft skills are really what you need in life. Everything else will work after you've done that. Yeah.
Okay. So from what I pick from you, a key cost of imposter syndrome is that we tend to not pursue our dreams. Yeah. We might actually have that thing that we wanted to do, but it will just remain a dream. Yeah, because we have put dates on our dreams. Yeah, who said that you cannot pursue them at whatever age? Provided you are alive, you can still do it. Yeah. So you can still be able to pivot, and that's what I tell people. You can be able to pivot, provided you have that urge, you have that inner passion to want to do that thing. You can still be able to pivot. I think the other thing about imposter syndrome is that it actually decreases your efficiency, your productivity. So you'll find you're in a job that you're doing that you don't enjoy, but you're there. You're there trudging on. You can imagine if Vicky is stuck to her architecture. Maybe should still be a good architect, but maybe not as passionate as what she's currently doing. You understand? So the thing is, remember what I told you, the 3 characteristics of people in the right place. Yeah, that passion, the productivity, the creativity. Yeah, it comes when you're seated where you should be seated. Yeah, so maybe there's another whole version of who you are. I tell people during coaching, there's another version of you have not yet met. Yeah, you are yet to meet. Yeah, because you just need to dare to dream. Yeah, and to just try and just push yourself towards achieving those things that you want to. And then another real cost of imposter syndrome is that it actually also creates a lot of loyalty, greater organizational loyalty. Have you ever met people who have worked in one organization for 30 years? The first job that you got, I know of some people, the first job they got, they have never moved from there. And you know why? It's fear. It's actually fear of change. Yeah, you are unable to actually change. And and they have found this is my comfort zone. They cannot imagine. Remember, there's a lady I coached, and she told me, I am approaching 50. My retirement, I cannot work after that. And do you know how shocked I was? I said, 50? How can you say 50? You are done. You have another 25 years. Imagine you live another 25 years. How can you conclude that your life is over at 50? Just because they said retirement age in an organization is 50. So you've actually limited yourself. By the time she was done with the coaching, she couldn't believe, you mean I have another 25? I said, yeah. And you can actually paint a whole new canvas about it. Yeah, so that's what we need to do. We need to change our mindset, because what happens is that if you stick to the only known and you dare not to dream, and you dare not to try out, you will never know who you truly are. You will never know who you truly are. And there is great potential, guys. We are multi-layered, we are multi-talented, and we have so much greatness. Until you tap into it, you will never know that version of yourself. Yeah. So when you find that you've been overly loyal, where you have actually not even moved, you've not taken any chances with your life, you're just living that straight and narrow path, there's a lot you have not done for yourself. And that's how, when you grow old, you wonder, what could have been? Those are the stories you'll be sharing. I wonder how it would have been. No. At least Vicky will say, me, I played in at least you as a grandma, you'll have very nice stories. I played in a band, I did this, even your grandchildren will be happy to hear those stories. Yeah, because you're showing them the various facets of who one person can be. Yeah, and so that's even what leads us to stay in organizations that are even toxic, just because they're so terrified of leaving. I have coached many people who are unable to move. Yeah, they're in a bad space, but they cannot even imagine that they can get out. Why? Yeah, until the point I tell them, but then guess what? Imagine you're the manager of your life. It's not the other way around. No, the organization doesn't manage you. So we have to think out of the box, guys. We have to take charge, take agency of our lives. Yeah, and then chronic burnout is also another opportunity cost of imposter syndrome. You're constantly overworking yourself. Yeah, you're constantly tired. Depression, you've seen the mental health issues that have come up, all attributed to all this. Yeah, because you're either trying to prove to your mother who said something many 30 years ago, you're still trying to prove. Yeah, but you can, without you now going back to self and discovering, actually, this is who I am, and accepting who you are. Yeah. And then I think the last one is just the tendency not to see your own value. Yeah. Tendency not to just see your own value. So you even sell yourself short. Every time you negotiate, you're just always getting the poor end, worst end of the stick, because you don't know who you are. So guys, we have to go back to self. We have to go back to rebuilding, the structure from the bottom up, so that now we come back more stronger, and more confident to be able to actually live out better, effective lives. Yeah, and there's some common roles that we take on. Yeah, guys, I'll tell you some common rules just as we conclude this discussion. And please ask questions. This is your chance to get advice from these ladies. Yeah, we are meant to finish by 8:30. Yeah, yeah. So please ask your questions in the chat group. But there's some common roles that we take on inadvertently without us knowing, but we take on some roles that actually we don't know that it's actually imposter syndrome. But I want us to discuss them so that now, for me, what I'm doing with you today is to actually light that fire so that now you start questioning yourself when you're falling back on those roles. Dr. You want to take us through the first ones? A few? What are the common roles?
Yes. Okay, so one of those roles is you become the perfectionist, the one who sets excessively high standards. Nothing is ever good enough for you. For you, success is flawlessness. And if you are a leader, it means that your people never do the right thing. So you're always criticizing them. You're never happy with their work. Then another role is you become the expert. You believe you must know everything before you take action. You must have data. So you have, what do they call it? Decision paralysis. You can never decide anything. You can never move forward because you're always wondering, what don't you know? What am I missing? You can never make a decision. And we all know, if you have ever worked with a boss or a colleague like that, you understand what that means. And then there is what I call the soloist, which I think is how my own imposter syndrome manifested. The one who feels that you must do everything to yourself alone to prove your worth. And then you struggle to ask for help from others. And that also leads to burnout because you're taking on much more than you should. And then there's the superhero. You're pushing yourself to excel in all roles, you know, at work, at home, in relationships. The superwoman syndrome, you know. Home, you're not even allowing your maid to cook if your husband has not insisted that you cook. You just believe, if I'm to be a good wife, I must cook. To be a good employee, I must stay in the office until 8 o'clock. To be a good mom, I must drive my children to work. So I mean, it also leads to that. And then another one is you try to become like a natural genius. I think Pauline mentioned these people who are always doing some training, learning some course, going for this and the other, because you must know. There's always new knowledge coming, which is true. But then you believe that you must be on the forefront of all that, and obviously you cannot always keep up with that. And I think that all of these things actually also have an impact that I think we haven't mentioned, and that's the impact on your personal relationships. And that's a major, major cost, a big cost of imposter syndrome.
Thank you. And Vicky, you want to add one or two?
No, well, I would say most of what you've said, but I also find that then you become out of balance. And when you become out of balance, for me, let me speak from a personality point of view, you embody the out of balance aspects of that personality. For me, when I'm out of balance, because I'm a dominant personality, I become very aggressive. You might find I'm the person now who wants to micromanage everyone. Where are we and what are we doing? Someone else might become flighty and flirty with the relationships because they're trying to overplease others. So I think you become out of balance with whichever your personality is. And once you sense that, then you should start being aware in self-awareness that there's something that is not quite right. Yeah, you found yourself in situations where you're feeling less than. What do? Naturally, you fall onto the thing that's your power. So if it's intellectualness, you start spitting out facts that were not even required in the first place.
You overcompensate.
You overcompensate, yeah. You overcompensate, yeah.
You're trying to prove that you're an expert. You understand? Yeah. Another one that I just want to add on top of the other role that comes out, and which is even very common, is the behind the scenes leader. I'm sure you've come across where people say, you know me, I just like working behind the scene. Yeah, me, I just do the work.
Yeah.
And the work just talks there on its own because you are unable to accept that that is your work. You can't even speak out. You can't vouch for the work that you've done. You understand? I keep telling people in my classes, work never speaks. Never ever think that your work will speak for itself. I am from that school. I'm a recovery. I've recovered from that one. I used to believe that work can speak for itself. It doesn't. So you have to vouch for yourself. There's something called self-advocating. Yeah, you have to be able to advocate for yourself. So that behind the scenes doesn't work. Yeah, and a lot of us, without knowing it's imposter syndrome, we always think, I like to work behind the scenes. There's no scenes. No one will see you. Your work will just disappear. And actually, you know what happens in the workspace? Where nature abhors a vacuum. So what happens? Somebody who's crafty picks up your work. You know them. See, we've seen them in the workspace. They take up your work and they roll with it, and you're there behind the scenes, hoping that they will know it is you. They won't know. Your work goes like that. Yeah. So, guys, there is benefit. There is benefit to work on this. There's great benefit in you working on your imposter syndrome, guys. Yeah. And the reason we're able to speak here is because we are working on it. We have worked on ours. And we are not telling you that we are perfect. But the thing is, we're equipped. We have tools for it. Yeah. So there's something called imposter syndrome coaching. You can actually overcome it. Yeah. And once you overcome it, you'll start finding that you're doing more daring things with your life. Yeah. All those dreams that you have on your vision board for the last 20 years, you've just been seeing them on the board. They can actually come alive. Yeah. Yeah. So they can actually come alive. Yeah. So to conclude, what are the benefits, yeah, of overcoming imposter syndrome? Why should people overcome imposter syndrome? I'll start with you, Vicky. What have
I
you
don't
seen in
know.
that?
I don't know if anyone has come across this quote. It speaks to entrepreneurship, and I guess because of I am an entrepreneur, I find myself in a lot of those forums, and I follow a lot of posts that talk about entrepreneurship. But they say the journey to entrepreneurship is really the journey to yourself, and I think that's where the problem really is. It's really understanding that the reasons why things are not working has nothing, most of the time, I mean, not all the time, have little to do with your external circumstances, and they have a lot to do with your internal circumstances. And sometimes when we speak about self-awareness, guys tell me, Vicky, give us practical tips. I've told them, you need to sit in self-awareness. No, give us practical tips. I'm like, no, you're missing the point. The practical tip is that sitting in yourself and really doing the rigorous work of self. And as much as it seems like a frivolous thing, it's the thing, that journey of imposter syndrome, you say go through the obstacle, is really a journey to yourself. Because you see that person you said you haven't met, you cannot meet them until you go through it. And you literally have to become someone else to do that thing. You literally, I think that's why imposter syndrome is, because you're suddenly inauthentic to this being that you have known so far. And this being, to get here, it requires to change significantly. Yeah, you even need to change your set of values, by the way. Your value system has to change. Your value is valued family time. Now you want to become a speaker internationally. Suddenly there's something you have to value a bit more, and it's going against the very grain of who you are. So it's a rigorous journey, the benefit of finding out who this other person is. And I'm telling you, when you get there, then you will get to another place. That confidence, one, for yourself, two, for your family. I have a mentor, she's called Zuhura, and she tells me your children or the people around you thrive because they see you as a light. So when you don't be yourself, you're denying the world of a light, you're denying future generations of seeing a possibility. And that's how I think we empower others, just before even we speak motivationally to them, just by being who we are and doing the hard work of growing past that imposter syndrome. For me, I think that has been my biggest benefit so far. And I could say many others, but I think I want to give it to Daktari.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Vicky. I think for me, I like to believe that we are all born with a certain wisdom. This wisdom is like a toolbox. Now, some people, they come with that toolbox, they put it in a corner and they leave it there. They never open it. They don't know what is in it. They don't add anything to it. Syndrome is akin to opening that toolbox, discovering what is in it, learning how
Yeah.
to use the tools that are in it and adding additional tools as you realize that, hey, actually, I came with this box, but for this situation, I need to get another tool and I need to learn how to use this tool. And what that does is it keeps you in touch with your natural power, that natural wisdom, that agency that Pauline mentioned, that voice that belongs only to you. And I'm just looking at somebody who asked a question about dealing with people in positions of power, like bosses who make you doubt yourself. You have a choice. You have a choice to say, these people are making me doubt myself, or this situation is not working for me. And because you cannot change people, as Vicky said, you have a choice of making that difficult decision and saying, I am walking out of this place, no matter what it has brought me to this point, because I want to discover what else there is for me beyond this fear of these people who are bringing doubt in me. So for me, the real price of working on imposter syndrome is rediscovering your power, regaining your agency, finding your true voice, and really enjoying this person that you are, who has not only just relied on the toolbox that you came with, but has opened it and used it and added to it.
Fantastic. And totally releasing that other version of yourself that you didn't know they existed. Yeah? And guys, I can tell you, the day you stop fearing, yeah. Oh, that is when you start living. That is when you start living. Yeah. And by the way, there are so many things that you can do with your life. So for me, those dream jobs that you think that you want, that you have put on your vision board, you can get to them. Yeah. That school that you want to start, you can start it. Whatever the dream, whatever you have ever thought. And I always tell people, you cannot be what you have not yet seen. But whatever you have seen, there's a reason why you have seen it. The reason why you have seen it is because that is the thing that you should be doing. Are we together? So whatever you have dreamed about, you can actually get to it. Yeah. So over to you, Masha and Dorcas. Any questions in the chat? Any questions in the chat? Before I conclude now.
Yeah, there is a question, I think, that probably from discussions that we've had has been answered to some extent. But this is about
What's the question?
looking to hear more about imposter syndrome and pivoting to entrepreneurship, especially in this economy. So I guess there's a lot of fear of the unknown, and this is the question
Okay. So,
is recurring.
yes, I think we've discussed it at quite a length. Yeah, because I think the three of us have spoken about how we've all pivoted into entrepreneurship from corporate. Yeah, but I think, yes, it will be part of the journey in terms of that fear. That fear is real. That fear is very real, especially when you're making such big changes in your career. But the thing is to feel the fear, understand the fear, acknowledge the fear, and then know that, yes, I'm well equipped to take this jump. So you're not jumping for the sake of. So the thing is, you will have prepared before you jump, isn't it? Yeah. So we're not advising you to just do jumps. So before you pivot, you need to have prepared. So I tell people, before I pivoted, I prepared for 10 years. 10. Yeah. Between 30 and 40, I started preparing for my pivot because I was very clear about when I was going to pivot. Yeah. So you prepare, you do the things that you need to do before you pivot. Yeah. So that when you pivot, even if irrespective of if it being scary, yeah, you know that you have prepared, you have your ducks in a row. And even if, and I can tell you, when you move, it's gonna be hard. But as you move, and when it is hard, you know that you have prepared and you know that you have put in your plans. Then the key thing is with entrepreneurship, you have to just keep waking up and turning up. You're gonna wake up and you're gonna turn up every single day. Yeah, you're gonna write proposals. I tell people the first 2 years I moved into entrepreneurship, I wrote so many proposals and people were not answering my proposals. 2 years. But guess what? Now in hindsight, there's no proposal that you're not going to ask me for today that I cannot produce it in 2 hours. I'll give you a proposal. Why? Because remember, I had 2 years to write. I wrote proposals. So I have templates for all proposals, all scenarios. So that's the training. Yeah. So when it is going to be hard, that training is going to take you to the next. Are we together? So just keep turning up. Every day, show up. Every day, show up. Keep sharpening the saw. And I can tell you, when you get your breakthrough, let me tell you, when that breakthrough comes, you will be ready for it because you have actually gone through the test. Yeah, so I remember my first breakthrough was to train Safaricom kids. Yeah, for 3 years, we did that in Safaricom M-Pesa Foundation. And by the way, at some point, we were training 12 classes at the same time. So imagine if I had not prepared well, I would not have managed. So the thing is, whatever season you are in, take it as preparation for the next. Right now, economy is in a tough season. Take it as preparation for the next. Yeah? Prepare. How are you preparing now for the next? Maybe Vicky can share and then Dr. and then we can conclude.
Am I muted? No. I think for me, you have to be clear why you want to go into entrepreneurship. A lot of times people want to go into entrepreneurships for the wrong reasons. And you have to be very clear also if it's for that reason. If you are going into entrepreneurship for, sometimes it's a freedom of my time. It's a good reason, but be clear that that's the reason. So it's freedom of your time, then you have to have income that supports you because that's just the reason. Sometimes people go into entrepreneurship for money. That one, let me just tell you, pack that one. Don't go into entrepreneurship for money if you do not have something of purpose, a gap, something that drives you, because the money comes after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. That's when the money comes. So you need something that will allow you to wake up every day. Of course, there's discipline and there's commitment and all those things. But if there's a dream that you have, that's usually the best one, because that one, you don't need anyone to whip you to get to the land of Canaan. So be clear why you want to get into entrepreneurship. If there is no overarching vision, you just, I mean, I'm done my corporate time and now, I want to go into coaching because it will give me extra income as I see the world, that's a whole different. But be very clear. If it's money, I think you need to have a conversation with yourself like 5, 6 times, because one of the best advices I ever got was from my uncle when I first left employment and went to entrepreneurship. And he told me, Jerry, that's my middle name. You're in the morning sun. The sun is not even hot. You've just started, the sun is not even hot. In 4 or 5 years, the sun will be ukoju. It will be shining hot and it will be dry and there'll be no water anywhere. So I told him, Hiya, I'm not making money next year. He laughed another evil laugh I've never had. But that was the best advice I ever got, because it made me realize that this journey is for the long haul. Yes. It is 10 years, 20 years. And for you to go those 10, 20 years, you need to have a solid reason why you're going there. Otherwise, then, yes, exactly.
Thank you. Dr.
Yes, I mean, I agree with both of you, Pauline and with Vicky. And I also like to think about it this way. It takes a bigger fear to get rid of our fear, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So if you're in that position where you're still thinking, should I start, should I not start, you still have an option. And the fear of failure or whatever is not yet big enough. So at the time that I was moving from corporate with a 7-figure salary into starting to work for myself, which is now 8 years, I had started getting afraid that my brain was going to atrophy. I wasn't using my brain. I wasn't being challenged at all at work. I had just sort of become a robot. And on the day that I announced to my team that I was leaving, Do you know what they said to me? They said, we haven't seen you so happy in such a long time. And my heart was running. Omanyala pace. I had no idea what was going to happen. I did have a plan. My coach training, my company was already established, but I really had no idea what was going to happen the day I woke up and I was no longer going into this big office with the parking space. What would happen when at the end of the month, the 7-figure salary was not coming in. But I was very clear in my mind, Vicky, as you have said, that whatever it was I was going into, I would rather try out that possibility than stay in this space where I am. So if you still have the luxury of deciding, should I not, it means the fear is not yet big enough. But once you go into it, you give it your all. I also like to say another thing, you don't know if anything will work until you try it. So by all means, try things out.
Right. Okay, so let me conclude,
Yeah.
because I can see people want to leave. Yeah, and I think we've overrun the time. So I'll just say, guys, it is important to start the journey of managing imposter syndrome. Yeah, we might never manage to eliminate it, but it can be managed. Yeah, and when you manage it, you can be able to do great things. So I just want us to learn from this great lady. She said, I have written 11 books, but each time I think, they will find out now. I have run a game on everybody, and they are going to find me out. So imagine Maya Angelou. Yeah, after writing all those books, she still had it. So the thing is, it's going to be there, but the thing is, you're going to learn how to manage it. Yeah, you're going to learn how to manage it more constructively, yeah, so that you can still be able to achieve your many dreams. And so you guys are getting the first dips. We are actually launching our first, we're launching a new program. It's called She Soars. And this is going to be a ladies program too. Remember, I told you the problem that I've seen from 20 years ago, it's the same women. The women I'm talking about who have been attending classes, but they are not achieving those goals, those dreams of theirs. And so this is a new program that I have designed. It's taken me actually almost 2 years to design it. It's a ladies transformative program. And we're going to take you through how you're going to understand yourself and your purpose, how you're going to tackle imposter syndrome. We're going to share the tools of tackling imposter syndrome. We're going to teach you how to become irreplaceable, irrespective of where you are. We're going to teach you how to lead with emotional intelligence. Yeah, and then how you're going to understand the 7 deadly seeds of women in leadership, because there are some common mistakes that we make. We're also going to teach you how to vision and how to come up with that game plan and how you're going to start living intentionally. And this is going to be 10 modules. It's going to be done in 5 months, so 2 modules every month. Yeah, I'm going to be done in the evening, 8 to 10 p.m. Guys, yeah, there's a lot of learning that's happening at night. Are you aware? I don't know if you people have been attending classes, but there's a class I'm attending on Saturday. It is starting at 7, and guess what? The end time is midnight. Can you imagine? So me, I'm even being very kind to you. It's only 8 to 10. Yeah? And after that, we're going to put you into lean-in circles, where women, we are going to expose you to a lot of training about how to be the best version as you as a woman in the corporate world. And we're going to do it all via online from the comfort of your home. Yeah, and through this, you'll also get a living intentionally journal, and we're going to also institute a flexible payment. Yeah, so don't fake it until you make it. You're going to fake it until you become it. Are we together? You're going to fake it until you become it. And so for those of you who are in this call, we're giving you a heads up and a head start, because we are going to launch it officially to the market space starting this coming Monday. But I'm going to ask you, you can take a picture of this. So if you're interested in joining this program, please send us an email. Yeah, on those email addresses you can see there, and we will start contacting you and lining you up for the program. This one is going to be an exclusive program, so we're not going to take too many people. So there's going to be a cutoff point, yeah, so that we can be able to get each. We want to have success stories of businesses that will be started. We're going to help you take off. We are going to help you take off with your dream, whatever the dream is. So I think that is where we're going to stop. So this is all about legacy, and this is why we're doing this. So thank you very much. And I think that is where we're going to stop. And so Vicky, you can share your parting shot, and then Daktari, and we can say goodbye.
Okay, my parting shot is something that I tell myself often, and I say, don't be, actually it's a saying that I have many sayings. Don't be afraid of the darkness. Yeah, in fact, I can share it.
Okay.
So it's, don't be afraid of the darkness, because the dawn has secrets to tell you. Live where you fear to live, destroy your reputation, and sometimes forget safety and be notorious. Thank you. That's my parting shot. Yeah.
Thank you. Daktari, your parting shot?
For me, I like to think that experiencing feelings of imposter syndrome, it's actually an opportunity for you to learn. An opportunity for you to learn something, whether it's learning how to give presentations or learning how to use a knife and a fork, or working with a speech therapist on your accent, if that is the issue, or understanding better about diversity and those interpersonal relationships. And if you approach imposter syndrome in this way, you actually increase your self-efficacy, with what's up to you. So see imposter syndrome feelings as an opportunity for you to learn something, and eventually you will become better and better at mastering those things that you haven't mastered yet.
So thank you very much, Daktari, for those good parting shots, as well as Vicky. For me, my parting shot is, guys, overcoming imposter syndrome is taking back your power. Take it back. Take back your power and be who you were created to be. So thank you very much. And we will say kwaheri. Goodbye. Masha, Dorcas, were there any questions? I think we're done, yeah?
Majority were covered in the discussion, but people are very curious about the program and also about coaching.
Fantastic. Thank you.